how did you first fall in love with running?
Um, I don't think I loved it for a long time, actually. I think I just it was enjoyment, but yeah, I would say the love has only come more recently. Like everyone kind of knows that I never really loved it. And it was always like when I didn't want to do it, I never did. And that was kind of how I've lived it. And I more just enjoyed the friendships that you got from running. And I think that's probably maybe the love, I guess, but that's kind of what kept me in the sport for the last couple of years, especially for uni and stuff. Like I definitely didn't run because I really enjoyed it. I ran because I enjoyed the people who I was with.
Was that
Um,
were you ever part of like a run club or were you just running with friends from university? How did it kind of go from there?
no, so I was part of like the local athletics club and then just kind of made friends through that. I would say like when I was younger, I kind of found I'm quite quiet and like not very outgoing. So like I found making new friends more difficult because I kind of find when you get to know me, I will speak to you loads and stuff like that. But like those first initial reactions is like I find really difficult. And so it was really good like as a social thing for me. And I think that's kind of what I've held on to for like definitely uh when I was growing up. I like yeah, it's fine now I can talk to new people. Like 10 years ago I couldn't have had this conversation with you, but like now it's fine. But yeah, and I think that kind of get me going and the love for just like not love, but like for keeping fit and stuff like that. It was just all combined and yeah, that's kind of why I did it. But I definitely went through periods where I didn't love it and I just stopped running. And yeah, that's kind of and more recently I do love it now, like just all the time. So I think it's kind of maybe grown on me, maybe. I don't know.
And then what kind of like gave you the motivation to go from the athletics club to becoming a marathon runner? Because from doing a marathon myself, it's a big leap from doing those shorter distances that are quite fun. And then when you do a marathon, it's like, wow, that was tough.
Yeah, so I was always, even when I was growing up, when I did races, I was always better at like the longer end of what kind of you were allowed to do when you were younger. So it was always like when I could move up a distance, I always moved up because I was slightly better at it, but I also enjoyed it like more than the like shorter stuff. And so I'd kind of moved up to like 10 miles half marathon and then my husband now we had started dating and he had done a marathon and then he kind of persuaded me to try a marathon and that's kind of how I did one and I definitely didn't love it. I think I definitely hated it. um but you know it is you do one and you're like, oh, I think I can maybe do a little bit better, so I'll just try it again. And then it was like, oh, it's not too bad. I'll just do it again. And it was like, just kind of went through that. I think he loved doing them, so I kind of joined in and then um just kind of grew from there. But now I do love the marathon. I love the training and it's my favorite bit of the year when I start going back to marathon training. So it's definitely growing on me. But yeah, he definitely persuaded me to do that.
Yeah, you definitely get the bug. You made your British debut in 2020 at the World Half.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before that, you did a month's altitude training in Kenya. How did that help you in terms of your performance and like in terms of making the team for that event?
Yeah, so that one was a bit different because the team was um actually selected prior to COVID and I did the trial race and I think I came like fifth or something, so I just missed the team. But I hadn't really been working, so I was obviously self-coached for most of the, well, I say self-coached, but like just did what the club did and kind of added a few extra runs on and stuff like that. So not really coaching as such, but for a long time. And then my coach, um, I I was at a race and I came second behind one of the girls who had just done really well at the Commonwealth Games, and he was like, "Who are you?" Like, and started talking to me, and then so just not long after that, he started coaching me. And then so I was obviously improving, but I wasn't quite at the level to I didn't think I was at a level to make a GB team, but I was just like experiencing new things, like going to altitude. I joined the training group with the other girls, and so for me, it was just like kind of experiencing like all the new things, and I was kind of in the group to improve, but to help to be more of a help to the two other girls in the group rather than like my own personal development. And for me, it was like a if I let's just see how this goes. And if I improve, I improve, I don't. And so I obviously went into the trial race because I just wanted to run the race because it was in Big Half in London. And I think I came fifth, which I think I ran like a minute or two PB. So I ran really well. But the aim was never the GB, never the GB team. And the team got selected. But obviously the race then got cancelled because of COVID. And then I'd obviously then in COVID gone on like to the places that you could travel to, gone on some camps and stuff. Because I was on furlough from work, so I was like, well, I might as well um take the opportunity because I'm not working and just kind of this basically be a professional athlete, but still being paid like some of your salary, whatever it was. So I kind of took that opportunity to kind of experience it, even though it wasn't like a full like professional athlete experience. And then obviously when the race got put back on, some of the girls were injured and some weren't able to make it. So then it rolled all the way back down. And then I just happened to get in the team and I was like, yeah, I was super happy. It was just I just never thought I could ever make a GB team. So yeah, I was really happy. But it was a different experience because it was COVID and nobody could come and watch or anything. So it was, it's a bit bittersweet because it's like super exciting because it's your first GB vest and something that you kind of dream about and something that I never thought I could achieve, but also a bit sad because no one else was there to like experience it with me. And you couldn't really enjoy like where we were in Poland because we were just under such like tight restrictions, but it wasn't too bad.
And then you spoke about your improvement there. Would you say, in terms of pushing forward in your career, there was a moment, for example, when you finished top 10 and you were the first British finisher in the Commonwealth Games marathon? Did that give you the belief to push forward and the belief you could make an Olympics team?
So the making the Commonwealth Games team was like when I started working with my coach was the main aim for those, what was it, like 3 years or something like that. Um, so that was like the main goal. Everything was building up to try and run the standard, not even like kind of get the team. We were like, if we run the standard, there's like a chance I can get in the team. So we were like, that's kind of the aim. And everything was just like focused long term on that. And it was like and nothing it wasn't like thinking about anything else. That's when the GB thing was like really nice. It's kind of in that period, and it was like, oh well, things are going well. I'm running PBs, but kind of focused on it. But no, I never thought I'd make an Olympics, even ever. Even when I went into the Valencia Marathon, I wasn't even trying to run the Olympic standard. I was only trying to run 2:28, and yeah, I wasn't I knew I was on a good time because I went with the 2:26 pacer and then I ran away from them, so I was ahead of them and I was like, well, I'm obviously running well, but I didn't really know like what time I was on for until I finished. And then yeah, it kind of just spiraled from there. But I don't really I only think of myself as like that kind of person. I just kind of take it as it comes, I guess.
So, speaking about the Valencia Marathon, you obviously set the qualifying time for the Olympics, but you weren't initially in the squad. How did that feel?
Um, Yeah, it was quite tough, like for me personally. Like I would say last year was very tough. Even though I achieved a lot of things, it was quite mentally tough for me and a lot happened. It was just yeah, it was really hard actually because the week that we found out that well, it wasn't the week out, it's like the week before my granddad passed away and then I was doing appeals and I was doing the funeral and it was like it wasn't really just the Olympics. It was like everything that was going on in my life was like too much. And I think it really was hard. And it's still hard to talk about it now. I still find it really hard. Yeah, it's just
And
really tough.
then, no, definitely. Suddenly, obviously, Charlotte Purdue withdrew from the team for injury. and with a week to go, you were then called up to
Yeah.
the games.
Yeah, yeah.
How crazy was that period? I mean, the turnaround is mental.
Yeah, so you kind of like when you're in the reserve, you're kind of training for a race that you're 99% not ever going to run. And especially because it's the Olympics, I was like, no one's going to drop out. Um, and then you get to like almost a week before, and I was like, oh, it's not going to happen. And at the start, you kind of got a bit of hope, but it's a really mixed feeling because it's hope for yourself, but you know that somebody else has to have a problem. So it's kind of like it's a really weird feeling knowing that you want somebody else to like pick up an injury or something like that, but that's kind of not like my personality. And so it's a strange feeling, and yeah, it's not a nice place to be in. But like at the start, you're like, you've got a bit of hope, but obviously as time goes on, the hope very much dwindles away to the point where I was like, well, it's not going to happen. And I think after a certain amount of time, you kind of become okay with the situation. And I was like, do you know what? This is more than I thought I'd ever achieve. So it's okay. I don't mind. And I kind of just put my focus on everything else. And I was just like finishing off the wedding plans and stuff like that. And then I went back to my parents' house because I was having my wedding dress fitting, and yeah, that's when I found out. But my husband was on his stag do, so he was away, and it was just a really weird time because I rang him up and he was obviously severely hungover and was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Because I didn't really get up that early, and I was ringing ridiculously early," and he was like, "Clara knows I'm away. Why is she ringing me when I'm on my stag at like ridiculous time in the morning?" But it was kind of disbelief as well. Like I just didn't believe it. And then yeah, like 2 days later I was in Paris. So yeah.
And when you're on that start line, did you feel prepared mentally for the race? I mean, you produced an incredible performance, finishing as Team GB's best finisher. Your emotions when you crossed the finish line, it must have been like there must have been a lot of emotion.
Yeah, I think I don't really know if I was mentally, but I knew I was just gonna go out and enjoy it because I'd been given an opportunity, whereas 7 days prior I knew I didn't have this opportunity, and I just really wanted to make the most of it, but also take in as much as I can because I might never go to another Olympics, or if I do, I hope it's like I'm in the team straight away. So I'll never experience what I've gone through, and I don't think many people can say they've experienced what I went through um, in that time period. And yeah, I just wanted to put my best foot forward because I did believe that I should have been in the team from the start because there was a couple of other issues with some of the other girls going around in the background, and I was obviously beating them in races in the build up to the Olympics. And I thought, well, off current form, I should be in the team because if I'm putting over a minute into a 10K, it is what it is. So I was just really just running to kind of prove a point that I should have been there in the first place, and but also to do myself proud and do the best performance that I could have done under the circumstances and the preparation that I'd been given, really. And I think if I had a better preparation, I probably could have come a lot higher. But 46 is still incredibly good in an Olympics, so I'm happy.
No, definitely, it's incredible. And would you say it kind of like turned out to be like one of the best weeks of your life? Obviously, running the Olympic marathon and getting married. I mean, sounds incredible.
It was very busy, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever live to put anything like that in that kind of 7 to 7 week period, or 2 weeks of the selection. So yeah, it definitely was the best couple of weeks, but very busy, but also the come down is ridiculously hard because you've gone from probably doing the two biggest life events you could probably do to just back to normal life. And I was back to work afterwards, and it was yeah, a high back to just the day job was a bit surreal. But no, I loved it 'cause it meant that the wedding was also a celebration of getting married, but it was also a celebration of just like everything that had happened. And everyone was there who was everyone who has supported me and had lived through the process with me and probably witnessed me at my very worst on the on the build. But yeah.
just linking to that support, obviously within athletics, how crucial has the support of Welsh athletics been for you as a runner through your career?
Yeah, so when I first made my GB team, I wasn't actually supported by them. Um, I only got supported by them, I think 2021 or 2022, so not like that long ago. But in terms of just everything now, I very much rely on it and it is very crucial. And I would say the last year to 2 years, it has been quite crucial to my improvement, like, and just going forward it will be the medical support of the physios, but also like the emotional support of last year. Like, they definitely emotionally supported me, went above and beyond, and I don't think I could have coped with everything without them. So, they play a massive part, not just only like helping me fund my training camps, but just like the physio, sports massage, and just like almost somewhere to like vent and release your feelings, and like just, yeah, they just help you in ways that I think are overlooked, because everyone thinks about obviously the injuries and stuff, but they look after you in just like more of a mental capacity as well, which I think is really important and sometimes quite often overlooked with runners, because it's very stressful, because it's not like a massively financed sport, so it takes a toll on you, like, mentally.
And you've just been obviously training in Kenya. What does the 2025 season look like for you? What do you want to achieve this season, and how do you think? Obviously, you did altitude training in Kenya before, so how do you think that's going to help you this year as well?
Yeah, so this season is going to be a bit different. I'm not going to run a marathon this year. I'm going to take a break, just because, yeah, last year was a lot, and just building the last couple of years has been hard. So I'm going to take a break from the marathons so I can get a lot faster, and then next year I'll go back to marathons. So I'm going to do a little bit more track and a little bit more speed this year, which is obviously not my favorite, but you got to do it. Um, the yeah, the kind of big aim for me coming up would be like the European Road Running Championships in April. So that's kind of a big aim for me for the year. And then I want to try and see if I can run the standard for the 10K for the Commonwealth Games. But that's going to be a big ask. But it's a nice challenge to have something different.
Fingers
So
crossed.
yeah, I
Just
know that's why I'm going to do track season, but I don't know how good it's going to go.
just finally, I just wanted to ask you a few just quick fire questions. What has been your favorite location you have raced in?
I think Valencia is my favorite of all time.
Why was that?
I just love the city, like, as a place, but I've just always ran really well there, so I just really like it. Yeah.
I feel like I know the answer already, but what would you say has been the best moment of your career so far?
Probably the Olympics,
Yeah,
but winning the gold at Europeans, the team gold was, yeah, it's probably a close second. That would probably be my highest in terms of performance, but in terms of everything that comes together, it'll obviously be the Olympics. But those two are pretty special together last year.